are here at Nkosi Talk Shows, Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. So with me today, I'm with Carol Ann Cooper and Shireen Love Grove. How are you, ladies?
I'm fine, thank you, Nomsa. And you?
I am good, thank you. Carol Ann, are you okay? Very quiet?
I am very quiet. It's too hot.
Hey, we were
To
changing
be
our
honest.
language. We were changing language, weren't we?
It's too hot.
Yeah, she said
And
she's the one who said let's
I'm
change
just
the
having a bit of a
Exactly.
I'm having a fizzy drink to fizz myself up and get a bit more energy.
Carol Ann is having a fizzy drink.
Oh. I might my there we go. Have a bit more fizz. So yeah, it's good. Bit of laughter is good.
Yeah, sometimes you got to laugh. So the topic today, guys, you don't need confidence, you need evidence. Many people waited to feel confident before they start, but confidence does not always come first. Sometimes confidence is built after you take action, prove to yourself that you can do hard things. You don't need to become confidence by wishing or overthinking or comparing yourself to others. You become confident by collecting evidence through small steps, brave choices, discipline, healing, prayer, and consistency. When you look back and see how many battles God has already helped you overcome, you will begin to realize that you are stronger than you thought. You have survived it before, you can rise again. And Carol Ann, you gave us this topic. Could you please share with our audience what was the motivation behind everything, the topic?
It's following on from last week where we explored the idea that overthinking isn't always about needing more information. Very often it's about trust. Trusting our judgment, trusting our decisions, trusting ourselves enough to take the next step without knowing exactly how everything will unfold. So in that conversation, you might have noticed something interesting. As soon as we started talking about trusting ourselves, another word often enters the conversation: confidence. People say, I just need more confidence. When I feel more confident, I'll do it. I'm waiting until I'm ready. But what if we've got confidence completely the wrong way around? So we look at that's what we're sort of looking at, that question. What if it's something you build? Because when you look at people who appear confident, it's easy to assume they were born that way. But perhaps what we're really seeing is the result of lots of small moments where they took action despite not feeling confident at all. So today we're exploring a different way of thinking about confidence. Maybe you don't need more confidence before you begin. Maybe you simply need more evidence that you can. So hence the title. You don't need confidence, you need evidence. Because possibly, confidence isn't a prerequisite for action. Confidence is a consequence of repeated action. Evidence builds belief. Every small promise you keep to yourself becomes evidence that you can trust yourself. So I love how all of that sort of weaves together. And so when you saw that title, Shireen, what did you think?
Oh, it's a wonderful title. And while you're busy talking, I'm going, oh, yes. That's all I'm thinking. Is all I'm thinking. What really came up, and when you said it landed like, oh, this is something really important. Yeah, isn't it interesting? We always say, yes, I have to be able to trust myself, but I'm wanting confidence. We cannot have confidence without self-trust to some degree, right? And as you said, self-trust actually is based on beliefs and beliefs that are validated.
Yeah.
And that started to, I had originally started to come in and think, I need to talk about this, but actually I want to bring that in to this idea that confidence is built on the consequences on repeated action. And I want to build it into this model that is the CBT model, basically. And actually, it's something I learned in NLP. We call it the TOTE model. And really what it is about when we have a problem, when we lack confidence, when we worry about things, when we are in this kind of situation, we're in a problem state, right? And a problem state is not a resource state in any way. And because we have that problem state, we have, from past experience, we have some beliefs that sit around that we then project as future beliefs, right? Future story running that we're going to make. So we go, this has happened. This is what's happened to me in the past. This is my problem I'm experiencing now. That means this is going to happen, right? So we go into a little spiral of thoughts, which then feed into the feeling. And those two feed off each other. And then we kind of go, well, hey, this must be because of this, right? So we access our past beliefs in that. And then we either choose to do something or we don't. Most of the time, very often, we don't, because we are so caught up in the feeling and the fear that we don't take that action that then gives us the reward to exit the loop, right? We have loss of reward, so we don't tell ourselves we did really well. We don't say, hey, that was easier than I thought. Or we go, hey, I know it's hot, but you know what? I can just drink some water, fizzy water, and pep myself up, right? So we can, if we don't do those sort of things that make us feel good, that give us the reward hit, we go back into the problem cycle for the future. So next time this happens, we run that cycle again. The problem is we don't actually go, when we get to the first part, how did I succeed from the previous time? Because it ended, the problem ended. How did I succeed if that happened? So, because when we're in an anxiety state, we always fail to reflect on our successes, which is a really sad thing. We always focus on the 90% of the stuff that we didn't do rather than the 10% that we did. So that little minute reward is the bit we don't pay attention to because it's not big enough, right? So that's what we think. We have a judgment around, hey, it's not big enough. It's not a wham, wham, wham that we can do something with. So what I imagined and thinking as you were talking, Carol Ann, was about like a stair-step kind of movement. Each step that you take with action builds a resource. And again, it builds a resource. So each time you take little actions, no matter how small, even if you still keep in that problem cycle, but you have different thoughts in a moment, you go, well, maybe that may not be true. Even if that anxiety still overrides you, you've interrupted enough of that to start your brain next time to do a little stronger bit of information. But it builds the resource, so eventually you have a muscle now that is resourced. And that's what confidence is, I think. Confidence is that muscle that is now resourced enough that you then take action with no longer being fearful, right? So I was kind of seeing these stair steps and going, the resources are building up, and it's building those, strengthening those neurons. So if you think about a child that probably, or a person that is quite confident, what is useful is to look at their parenting style, right? If they just have confidence, if they exude it, it's really interesting to find out what's been around in their life. Like we always talk about the 5 people around us that help us, right? Those are the most important people that actually allow us to fly. It's those 5 people. Yes, we can have big groups and that, but it diminishes because we want sincerity. We want connection. And so it's really important to have your number 5s at least that are there. They are in your camp always. But these are building resources. They are our resources, right? They're another load that we keep adding into our resource pack that then allows confidence to fly. We don't have to worry about it anymore because we go, oh, if that happens, so what? I'll learn. We see everything as a learning experience rather than an experience to dread.
I love that, Shireen, that you said we can either choose to do something or we can either not. And you also said there are things that we pay attention to, and because they are big, and then we don't pay attention to other things. We can choose what we pay attention to. And also Carol Ann said it's about trusting our judgment. When we see people who are confident, we think that they were born that way, but they were not born that way because they had to do something. They had to go step by step. I was telling someone about confidence, that confidence is not built because you have to do something in order to be confident through that thing. You have to, once you do it over and over and over, consistency, you feel confidence about it. So I was like, even when if you go and look at my video when I started doing live, you laugh. So the confidence was built step by step. So I think people just need to stop waiting to feel ready, because when you wait till you're ready, you delay your purpose because you're waiting for a feeling called Caroline's confidence. And confidence comes with the action, as Caroline's topic says, that what it says, and not before it. It starts with what you have and where you are, and trusting that God will strengthen you as you move forward with your life, not knowing how tomorrow is going to look like. And that's when, if you listen to most successful people, they'll tell you that I made a decision in not knowing where I was going, but I had to trust myself. I had to trust my judgment. So I think that is important. Over to you, Carol Ann.
There's trust that comes into this. And I love what you were saying, Shireen, about looking at, if somebody's confident, it's looking at who was around them as they were growing up. Because what came to my mind is it someone, family, friends, parents, were they encouraging when you didn't do things, didn't work out, or were they putting you down and making you wrong? Or were they sort of, oh, no, don't do that, because their fears, sometimes like a toddler will go towards something. So, no, don't go there. There's always that fear factor. So they start instilling fears in you, because it's interesting that sometimes I often hear that analogy with children learning to walk. It's, they have a confidence, but actually it's not a confidence, because it's an inner drive that they have to walk. There is no, they fall down so they get up because they've got confidence. They get up again because there's an inner drive. It's part of development. So it is driven by development. So, but as you get older, actually we start putting a meaning to things. So if things don't work out, if we take a tumble or a fall, we start making it mean something. And then questions start coming up. Oh, what if I fail? What if I'm criticized? Because maybe you've had criticism because you didn't get something quite right. And it all sort of gets enmeshed, doesn't it, and tangled together. So it's an unweaving all of that, untangling all of that. And again, trusting yourself, your own self, to take an action and then learn from it. Because she said, Shireen, if you see everything as a learning experience, and this is what we're often talking about, everything is a learning experience. So what are you saying to yourself, when something happens and it hasn't gone quite right? Are you saying, oh no, I should have waited? Or you just put things off because no, I'm not confident. Or you compare yourself to somebody else who you think, oh gosh, they're so confident, I couldn't do that. And there's your inner voice. Well, what as you say, I couldn't do that? Where in the past has something happened that you made it mean something about yourself? So again, it's untangling that, but recognizing that there are things, ways of being that are driven, actions that are driven by development, the stages. And I started thinking, so I wonder where confidence comes into this. Is it part of our development? Driven? I'm not sure. I just started, my brain starts tinging off and I'm not really sure where it's gone. So that's where these few words just came out. But yeah, it's stop making it mean something, recognizing where you can make it mean something, and start trusting yourself. Because as you said, Nomsa, it's trust. There's trust at the back of this. And by taking a step, by taking an action, even just a small one, whatever happens, you've trusted yourself to take the action. And that's the important thing, because that's where confidence comes. Oh, well, I did take it. And this is what happened. Not, oh gosh, oh no, this is what happened. And yeah. So I think it goes back to as well to what you were saying, Shireen. Thinking back to past experience. And so the more we can sort of have experiences that work, or we can learn from them rather than going back to ones that, oh, it didn't work and we made it mean something about ourselves and hanging on to that. Because I think that's what you're referring to. It's where we hang on to those, what we made it mean about ourselves. So therefore we're not confident, we're not good enough, and we bring those into the future. But I do love your steps.
Yeah.
The resources. It's a resource. Like, oh, we've got another resource. Oh, we've got another resource. And it's that self-confidence, that's self-trust, can take the steps, got the resources, and there's the confidence.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I was thinking, thank you, Caroline. I was thinking in a sense of the other word that came was resilience, right? So building confidence is building resilience, right? Resilience for things that happen. So that was, while I was thinking, building resources, I'm going, actually, it was meant to be building resilience, because that, everything doesn't work out the way we, how many times I've done role plays with people, and what I do with our role play, I try and give them as many scenarios as I can. So that, because I said, you're going to sit in that moment with that person that you're wanting to confront, or you wanted to share, or you want to do something, many things that I haven't even thought of are going to come back at you. If you've built enough resources within yourself, you've built enough strategies to perhaps anticipate certain things that may happen, that gives you more chance of success, right? So building the resources, building that resilience muscle allows you the capacity to not be swayed when something doesn't happen exactly the way you've prepared it, right? Because often when something happens like that, we switch into what we call creation. We switch into creation because in that moment, because we've prepared, we've got the resilience, it allows us to move into a new way of being. And we know that certainly when you do training with dolphins, when you do training with anything really, often once you get to a point where you hit a little block and you just stay with it enough and just go, whoa, 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 hold on a minute. All of a sudden, you hold a space that allows creation to happen. So you don't react because you've got resilience, and you're now in the place where you can use the energy to create. Remember, react with an E is create, right? So I think, and often when my clients come back, they say, well, it didn't happen exactly the way I wanted, but this is what happened, right? And as a result, things have changed amazingly for them. But it's really important that they get that building those resilience muscles or the resources so that they have that capacity to hold in that anxiety moment, right? Because getting your needs met can be really challenging for many women and for many people, actually. If you are in a job where you might lose it and you need to go and speak to your boss and you're fearful they may take things around, one of the things is you've got to be able to hold the feeling enough that you don't jackknife into reaction, but that you sit there and you come up with a solution, right? So part of building those resources is partly helping you to anticipate instead of react, right? So you're able to anticipate when things might happen and that you have enough resources so that you can create. And I think it's really powerful when we find ourselves in the creation mode, because that's when we see our confidence bloom and blossom, right? I don't know how many times I've sat, and I'm sure all of us have done that. All of a sudden, you get this inspiration that jumps in because you've not actually said things, you've just waited. You've felt a discomfort and you've held it. And that's part of trust, right? Because when we build resilience, we're building self-trust. And self-trust is built on those tiny actions that we've now reflected back on, right? That then give us, it's a big circle that keeps going around and around and around. But at the heart of it, it is about those tiny actions that we take that allow us to see, to build the muscle, but also see just how damn good we are, right? Just how powerful we are. And if we don't have that evidence, as you were talking about, Caroline, we're looking for the evidence. Trust is about looking for evidence. We have to do things before we can get evidence. Yeah. We can never just get evidence. We've got we've got to build it, and we've got to see it, and we've got to validate it in order for us to be able to say, actually that's okay. And we can't have somebody else tell us, right? We have got to see it for ourselves. Because even if someone says, oh, you're really good at this, it's actually more helpful to say to someone, hey, how can I help you see this? Because you're not obviously seeing just how good you are, right? So how can I help you find that? So we're not saying, how can I make you see, but how can I help you find it, so that you're starting to generate information within the human being so that they realize they're a creative being. We're here to create.
Yeah, we're here to create. I like generating information, and also I like when you said getting your humanist being needs met can be very challenging. I think that is true because but for me, it would be easy because I've realized that I take life for granted. So I've corrected myself in so many things in life because I used to feel that my needs have to be met. If they are not met, that means you are not good enough for that person. When I meet them for business, they're not good enough and things like that. So I stopped wanting things to be perfect. And if I want things to be perfect, I go to God. And he is the one that makes things perfect. Because he shows me the way when I'm walking the wrong way or when I'm making the wrong decision when it comes to business. He shows me the way that way is wrong. And also I like when Carol Ann said, you said to get up because people get up because there's an inner drive. As we get older, we start putting meaning into things. And when things do go right, what do you say to yourself? Or sometimes when things go wrong, what do you say to yourself? And most of the time, when things go our way, when our needs are fulfilled, we think everything is fine. We applaud ourselves, or we applaud those around us. But when things go wrong, we don't look at the lesson that we have learned from that wrong. We just think we are not good enough. We are, some people even call themselves stupid. Honestly, and I even look and say, how can you call a human being stupid? Like Shireen, you were saying human beings, we are smart, and that is so true. We are indeed smart. So, but some people, they call themselves stupid. They call themselves names. I think what people need to remember is what you have already overcome. It's important to realize you are more capable than your feelings suggest. Like Shireen says, and Carol Ann says, build proof through action. Every small action, it becomes the evidence. When you wake up, pray, work, learn, forgive, try again, finish something. You are building, when you do that, you are building proof that you can trust yourself. Small steps repeated becomes true confidence, strong confidence into your life. So you cannot build confidence if you have not done that thing before. So it's just taking step by step, taking action. Just to cut the short story, it's just having the courage to trust yourself, trust your abilities, and trust that God is there with you, and just do what you've got to do by taking action.
It's taking action, because there are things that life presents us and we think, oh, I can't do that. And there's some things you think are absolutely impossible. And if you've got that story in your head that, oh, I'm stupid, or I'm slow, or I can't do things, or I can't pick things up quickly, then it makes it even harder. And I remember when I first learnt Brain Gym, educational kinesiology, I remember the first course that I did, which was 4 days. And I was all over the place. It was like, oh my God, I'll never know. How do I do this? I can't do this. And even in what I think it was about the second day, I was going, but what this and what that? And literally the instructor put his hand on my hand and said, it's okay. It's okay. Just breathe. You will get it. But in my head, it's like, no, I'll never get this. I'll never get this. And it was through, I repeated one of the 2 days again. I think it was the second weekend that I did. I repeated that. I went to practice sessions and kept practicing. And slowly I got more confident. I learned as I went along. I made mistakes. There were times when it's like, oh, I can't do this. And the instructor would support me and just, he'd explain. And it's like, oh. But what I realized was that I was making myself wrong because I didn't already know it.
Like, perfect imposter syndrome.
How crazy is that? It's like, it took me years to realize that when I look back, and it's like, I was actually expecting myself to already know it and be good at it. But I was in the learning phase. I had never heard of it before. And I was, learning it. I was lucky enough to get on the course to learn it. But if you're going in with that expectation that you should already know it, then you've already set yourself up to fail. That confidence won't be there. And I think that that comes back to, when I think back, my dad often used to say to me, oh, don't you know that? As if it was an expectation that I should already know something. And it wasn't till many years later that I remember thinking and saying, well, if nobody's ever told me, how am I supposed to know?
Mm.
And that was a revelation for me to be. But I had that thought, well, why don't you know? Because it was like, you should already know.
Mm.
So I grew up with that. And I mean, he wasn't being horrible. I think it's just something he said, and perhaps an expectation that he'd had. I don't know. But that little thread of just that one little bit of conversation, how that impacted me for most of my life, you know. And I'm wondering whether there's still a bit there now. I think that's something to explore that's holding me back in something. Because it could still be a little inkling. And it's interesting that that's it's come up now, to sort of that remembering. But over time, the more I practiced and worked with different people and went to more training days and did more brain gym courses, and it just became second nature. Now it's just part of who I am, and it just feels natural.
Mm.
And I feel confident, because at one time I wasn't confident to do the muscle checking, and I was practicing with somebody and muscle checking them, and it was like the arm, even though it was low gear, but it wouldn't go down, and I was like fighting them. And the instructor said to me, it's already low gear, because there's a fight there and the arm is going up. It doesn't always go down. Oh, you know, and you get to know that actually when there is no stress, the muscle check just holds. With you barely need to touch it, and it just holds. They're able to match your pressure. There is no fight. And you start to feel and understand the little nuances through practice and taking the action of exploring with different people. And then the confidence comes, okay, yeah, it's just, I can feel the difference now. I've got in tune with it. So where have you perhaps got that thought, I should know this already? And how is that playing out? And is there something that you actually can do confidently now that once you felt was impossible? And then think back, what did you do to get that confidence? How did that confidence come about that you're now happy to do whatever it was you thought was impossible? Because we're so good at just sliding along and then forgetting all where we've come from. And it was something that came to me the other day, because I've been putting myself down because I haven't got to grips with something yet. So maybe this is where this, I should know it might be in the background. I remembered that, do you remember when you first did your brain gym training and you couldn't do that? You thought you were never, ever going to get it right.
Yeah.
And now, you know, so these little things do play in the background. Where we grew up had an impact. We started making it mean something about ourselves because we couldn't do it, or we failed, or someone criticized us, something like that. So do think back, just be aware. And as you were saying, Sharina, is that just be present to it. Because there was something you said, I've lost where I put my note, and I was going to say that, but I think it's basically, it was you said about you take the action, you notice what's there, and then that gives you the evidence to keep moving. So, and get you out of that loop.
Yeah.
You get the reward and you can come out of that loop that keeps you stuck. So yeah, little tiny actions.
Yeah. What was it? I was trying to remember something that was going. Someone said insight doesn't mean, yeah, insight is not transformation, right? We have insights, but we've got to embody it,
Yeah.
and we've got to do it, and we have to do it first before we can embody it, right?
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
they say learn one, teach one, do one, teach one, so that you're actually always in the state. Because when we're learning, where it's coming to us, right? When we're teaching, we're moving it out. And so that's a teach one, but and when we're doing it, we're enacting it, right? But if you look at the process of it, we have to literally, in order to teach someone so that they truly understand, we're now got to use so many things of stepping in their shoes, finding a model that works for them, learning feedback so that we can give them what they really need. And it was interesting, as you said, Cara Ann, which was that lovely point. Oh, sometimes people go up rather than down because they're in resistance mode. And because they're in resistance mode, they're pushing too hard, right?
Mm.
You just so it's such a different. I mean, people maybe that don't do kinesiology won't know that. I don't
Mm.
really know enough about it, but I do know that if you have a force that's kind of counteracting, it's gonna go high. So that would make sense, right? But we don't know that until we learn about it, until someone tells us. How do we know? How should we know unless we've been told, right?
Mm.
We can't embody anything until we've found out or found a. Sometimes we self-generate, but we still need people to tell us, right?
Mm.
A lot of times, certainly in my work, I have got to undo a lot of the false stuff that fits around pregnancy, it fits around relationships, fits around that, and you go, that's not the case, right? That's not how I see it. I know that that may be in your world, but actually in this world it could be this, right?
Mm.
And maybe sometimes it's the first time they've heard a different opinion, right? Because when we have a belief, we're always looking for self-confirming or self-validating, right? And we don't often stop, as you talk about moving in the flow, right? We don't stop enough to say, is this really true, right? Is this belief really true? Or where did it come from? And I love that you you had a dad that you came to that memory, because it's such an important memory for other people to realize. We carry this belief because we don't like to be seen as less than very often. So we've got to prove that we already know stuff. But the stress of asking for help and the stress of being seen to fail, the stress is so strong that we put on this facade that we know it, right? And then when someone actually says to us, actually, no, you're in the learning stage.
Mm.
It's okay. It's really sometimes in that moment can be really so very tearful, right?
Yeah.
Because in that moment we kind of go, oh, I can let go of the facade. I can let go of all that's there, and I can just simply be. And part of the confidence is really the reward of confidence is the state of being, right? When we have the confidence, we can simply be,
Mm.
and we can simply act on that
Yeah.
feeling that now is being generated from that feeling of confidence. We don't act without a feeling. That's in our body. Our feelings and emotions are actually our charges that get us to move. That's why when we say, oh, it's so hot, we're saying things and we've got no charge, right? But you give yourself a fizzy drink and you say, yeah, I'm all charged, right? It's always about the energy that we have that's sitting there, and confidence and resilience gives us the energy we need to get to the top of the hill. It gets us into places that we never thought we would have achieved before. So yes, we've got to build, right? And yes, when we have these beliefs that sit there, particularly beliefs that we've grew up with, that don't allow us, that they're in the background, right? They sit in the background so that we don't stop enough to think about it, because we're doing every normal day living. And we often then just accept, oh, that's me. It's not you. That's not you. That's the story you carry. You are a creator. And even though, you know, I love the story of the walking and the falling, because there's a baby that there's a really good reason we learn to walk when we're a baby, because it's not a hard, a far distance to fall. So it's a very good thing, and we're quite bendy when we're little, so it does help. But babies don't say, "Huh, I failed." They just get up and they just do, because there's this inner drive that is already telling us what we have to do, and each step is a moment in creation, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk
Love
about,
that.
you know, the actions of building, repeated action gives you confidence. That is what we are creating every day. So when I say we're a creator, everything that we do is a creation. Even if it is the same thing, it's still a creation. So when we kind of look at that that we are a creator and we are the creation. Actually, that was one of the things that God told me. And I said, oh, well, that would make me God. And God said, guess what? We're all God. You're all part of me, right? I live through you. I am in everything. So yeah, we are all God. And so it's so important to kind of recognize, well, if we are, then that's because we're a creator, right? We're a creator and we're a generator. I was talking about being very hot last night. I was generating heat all night. And I thought, hey, what's going on here? My body is working in a way, and I've gone past the hot flushes. So it wasn't about that. It was just that my body was moving and I had been doing exercise, and my body was full of energy. So much so that I couldn't sleep. So we have this, if we've got that generation fitting in us as a creator, we build the confidence. It makes us more confident to come on a screen like this, even to make little mistakes like a stutter, which I just did. That we go, oh, that's okay. That's just me. I can do this because it's not going to mean anything about who I am intrinsically. That's just a behavior. That's just a flaw that's just happened at that moment. But it also gives me a teaching point too. So for me, everything's about teaching. Everything's about sharing. And everything is about, I was just going, oh, my name's Sherry. So sharing is intrinsic in my name. So yeah, Nomsa, how are you there? No,
I
I
like
don't
when you
want
said each step is a moment of creation. I like that. I think that is really, really powerful. And
that was an
also
insight that just came up. I don't know where it came, but it just
uh,
arrived.
and I think it's really, really powerful, because if we understand that each step is a moment to creation, people will stop crucifying themselves, wanting to get confidence before they even start. I remember I explaining to my daughter, and she was saying, why don't I know this? And I was like, how can you know something like the schoolwork if you've never done it before? Isn't it? You have to learn it. And then once you learn it, and then you get used to it, and then whatever similarity, the work that comes, and then you'll be able to do it. And she was like, oh, and I was like, yes. Um, and also you said, how can you know if someone has been, like, if we don't question the beliefs and also the stress of asking for help? Um, I think there are some people who don't really like to ask for help. Me, I love asking for help. It takes it stress. It stop wasting time when I ask for help. If I feel like I can't do something, I have to ask for help, because I know if I don't, I will just waste time. And the stress of not asking as well is just too much. And Carol Ann, you said there are things that life present to us with anything we are not good enough. And over time, the more you practice, the more you do more. Um, And also you question, you said, how did the confidence come about? And you gave the answer that is the little actions that we do each and every single day. For me, I just want people to know that when in life, like sometimes your past, you have to understand that your past is not your pain, is also proof, because some people use their past to say, I'm always been like this, I've gone through this, so I can't do this. So for me, what it helps me is to remember where God carried me through the seasons, and when life did not make sense, how he taught me to rise and do the things that I didn't think I'll be able to do. And it's also that gives you the evidence of the hand in your life that you have survived the battles before, and you can survive then. Whatever life presents to you, never ever give up. You have to do things. For me, my dad used to teach me. Even today, I've seen people trying to change me. My dad used to say to me, and my stepdad, they used to say, if you don't make decisions that you are supposed to be doing, no one will make decisions for you. And they used to say, make sure in everything you do, you cut the noise. Do what you have to do. Sometimes it might not be the right decision, but what matters is when you take that action. And I'll be looking at them and I'll be thinking, but then later on, I started realizing actually they are right. And which is like, is actually, when I was fasting, everyone kept saying you need to stop fasting and things like that. But the day when I finished my 40-day fast, I stopped for one day, but because I wanted to take a break. And then after that, I questioned myself. I said, these people that are telling me to stop, what are they fearing? And also, when I began this journey, who was there? Who did I talk to? And then I realized it was God. So I had to tell myself that then I need to continue and with my 1,000 days and finish my fast, because I've left 100 days left. So then I had to continue. But is that making a decision? And when I continued, that was 1 month before that. And because sometimes I've learned to listen to the voice of ancestors and the voice of God. When ancestors speak, I always chase them away. So they were showing me that you are the flesh, and the people that actually discourages you, they will be left behind. So, and then for me, I could not make sense of what they are talking about. And then I was like, just leave and just go. And they just go, they were like, yeah, you'll see when it happens. And when everyone now start telling me, stop your fasting, then I was like, Lucifer is behind this because he's so wicked. He makes people think that they love you. He uses those that love you the most. He uses love. And they're like, so you got to stop. And I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, as I looked at them, I did not agree to it. But Pastor Henry, because it's my accountability, Pastor Henry just wants me to continue. And then the other guy, Emmanuel, is my accountability and my daughter. And then now they were sitting down, they were like, oh, now that you stopped fasting and things like that, what's next? And I was like, who told you I've stopped? I have not stopped. And they're like, oh, I thought we agreed. And I was like, no, you suggested it, but never agreed. And they're like, oh. Okay. Then I started explaining to them that in life, when you are making deals with someone, they got to be an agreement. So now I'm explaining that the only agreement that I've made is I'm not going to do physically exercises for 1 month. That part, which is today is the 7th, tomorrow will be the 1 month, so it means on the 9th I can do my exercises. So I said that part I agreed because it makes sense. that if I have gone 1 month not eating and then start doing exercises, that would be right. So I've agreed with you because it makes sense, and it shows that you guys care. You are my accountability caring people. So that part, I'm riding with you guys. So I was like, anything else that don't make sense, I just have to go trust myself and trust God. And some people, they are not able to do that. But you have to, whatever decision you do in life, you have to trust yourself. Like Shireen said, people don't realize how a human being, how clever human beings we are, because God lives within us and we live within Him. So that if we allow the intelligence and not to block it, some people block it. If you allow it to enter you, to manifest, then everything flows. Over
Love
to
that.
you, Carol.
You made a promise to yourself
Yeah.
and you kept it. And it's keeping the promise is what builds self-trust. And that's what helps to then build confidence, because you have confidence to take action, because you trust your own judgment. And that's where it all links up together. So it's like, wonder what actions or promises people could make to themselves that would help build that self-trust. Maybe there's something you promised yourself that you would do that you haven't done. Maybe there's a conversation you've been avoiding. Make that promise yourself that you'll do it and take the action, and then notice how that feels. Do you then find that you perhaps trust yourself more? You have more confidence in yourself because you made that decision, you had the conversation. And whatever happens out of that conversation is a learning. There's something to learn. Did it go well? Did it not go quite how you thought it would, but you were able to sit and dance with the conversation? Or did it just fall apart completely? And then notice where your thoughts went. Oh, I shouldn't have made that. Da, 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 da. If it goes into the da, 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 just say thank you, put it away and say, but I made the call. I had the conversation. And then learn from there. And ask yourself, well, what do I need to learn from this? Would I have a conversation work out more effectively next time? That's where you learn, and that's where you grow, and that's how you build your confidence. So that's something you could do, and just ask yourself, what could you do? What's one thing you can promise yourself to do this week that would help build that self-trust? Because you said you do it, you follow through, and you learn from it. So that's, I think, where I'd like to go with that. Shireen, you're muted.
Yeah, and I'm realizing it's now 2:00, so yes, I think everything that we've done here today is really another stepping stone towards helping us become the creator that we are. So I think my takeaway for everyone is to recognize that everything we do is a creation, right? The most important thing is to recognize that we cannot not create. We cannot not create because we're always doing, right? But is it the doing that you choose that's going to build the confidence that you need? Because we know that, as you said, Carol Ann, confidence is the consequence of repeated action. And repeated action that we have given ourselves praise for, that's given us the boost, it's given us the realization that we can do, right, next time. So it's a way to bring the cycle forward every time, so that we're always looking forward to what comes next.
It builds the evidence.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
builds
what we're
the
looking
evidence.
at. Yeah, yeah. So before you wrap up, Nomsa, I'd just like to say, once we begin trusting ourselves more, another question often appears. If I am capable of creating change, why do I still feel so exhausted? So next week, we'll explore whether what we call burnout is always about doing too much, or whether it might sometimes be about living out of alignment.
I like that.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I think it's about living in the alignment. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for next week topic. Sounds awesome. For me, guys, what I leave with you guys is speak life to your life. Speak life to people around you. Have positive thoughts around people around you. I have noticed since I finished my 40-day fasting, the things that I have never noticed, that when I speak life to myself and I speak life to people around myself, I find breakthrough. So your thoughts are very, very important. What you think about people is really, truly, truly, truly important. And what you think about yourself as well is really, really, really important. You cannot have a good life if you don't think good about yourself. So no matter what you go through, no matter what the circumstances are presented to your situation, always hold on to life, hold on to God, and everything will fall into place. Because life, like Carol Ann says, life will always present you with things you've never asked for. All you have to do is stay connected to yourself and trusting yourself, getting yourself to that situation and asking for help is what is really, really important. So if you guys are watching us, please do subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and do follow us on our social media handles. Follow Carol Ann, and follow Shireen as well, and go to the website. If you need Carol Ann to coach you, or Shireen, please do go to the website and fill out the form and request whoever the coach you want, and be part of Ngozi Talk Shows. May God bless you. I will see you guys tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'm with Grant and Live with Grace. Are you guys finished?
Yes.
Yeah. See you next week.
See you next week.